Last week we put a massive emphasis on mechanics, sharpening our aim, mastering the way of the headshot, and created more intent to kill every single time I swing an angle. But the thing is that a great man is a balanced man. My mechanics mean nothing without a backbone of game sense. My gym grind means nothing without proper recovery and diet. But what if we could balance these things? What would that look like? How strong could we become? Could the combination of these forces be the catalyst to sending us to Radiant? Now, slightly out of the ordinary, but we start off Monday with a completely empty schedule. No work today, just a day of grind. So we get stuck into crosshair placement training, as that was the weakest link in last week's video. I put sprays on the wall at head level so that I could really identify where the enemy's head would be, as well as practice some pop flashes that I saw used in professional games. Thanks to last week's upgrade to the Wooting keyboard, the movement still feels super snappy, allowing for those crisp jiggle peaks. One thing that we've done in previous videos is that we've selected one defensive position to absolutely master to its fullest potential. In the words of Miyamoto Musashi, do not collect weapons or practice with weapons beyond what is useful. If we want to condense down the amount of time we play Valorant, we should just pick one spot and master it, and then simply just play that spot. Doing this provides us more time to take care of our body and mind by going and doing some exercise, which now, by the way, is actually getting to a pretty good point. Since introducing barbell exercises into the gym split, we've spent a lot of time mastering the form, learning how to not injure ourselves, and build as much muscle as possible with these exercises. However, now that we're on top of that, we're able to start getting heavier and heavier with our lifts, and we're getting stronger and stronger. It's very nice. I'm not 100% sure if I'm performing an RDL or a deadlift here, but either way, this is our first exercise to surpass 10 kilos worth of weights on top of the bar. We're doing good, we're doing good. On my way home, I snag a nice special on some beef mince, grab some Gouda cheese and butter, before making my way back home and cooking myself a burger cheese. But anyways, with fuel from the greatest meal of all time, it's now time to take over Valorant. For now, I just start off with the regular ramp warm-up, while also doing a bit of practice in the range. But one change that I have made is to play an unrated game before my comp. This is simply because I feel like I always play so much better on my second game, and instead of warming up to that point with my rank on the line, why not skip that and increase the consistency in our ranked games? Yeah, boys. Despite our first competitive game of the day being a victory, we did discover some things that we could improve on immediately. There are still enemy positions that we're not prepared for, meaning our crosshair placement isn't on the head when we're peeking these spots. I'm also clearly lacking a lot of teamwork, and I'm not considering my teammates in the equation when I'm making plays. The best example I can give you here is that I completely overlooked that the Phoenix was flanking. Had I have played slower, I could have timed my attack with his, and we could have sandwiched them. Here's another example of poor crosshair placement due to a lack of awareness, as well as me losing my composure and making fundamental errors in my mechanics. Coming into this next game, I wanted to put a massive emphasis on crosshair placement and just relaxing and slowing down. But this ended up being our first game on Breach, meaning we weren't 100% comfortable with the agent's abilities, which of course leads to stress. One of the biggest challenges that I felt like I was facing was not being able to find the right balance between using my utility and working on my fundamentals. None of this utility usage was in my subconscious brain, so I'm putting a lot of focus and emphasis on it, which obviously takes away from my ability to lock in on the enemy's head, to lock in on their positions, and to lock in on the actual game around me. But one really good thing that came from this game was my new understanding of how an initiator could be played. To sort of be the third person behind everyone else that's rushing in while you throw utility and really assist them to get the kills.
Behind the box.
From this point onwards, it really clicked in my mind and I started to become a way more selfless initiator. He's stunned.
Please.
My perspective on what a good initiator is really started to shift, and I actually started to become proud of the assists I was getting rather than just trying to frag out. At one point, I even planted the spike. Our attack side, however, was a lot more fluid considering the practice that we put in on our entries. However, we definitely still were making some minor blunders, for example flashing backside here instead of close, considering we haven't even pushed out yet. Despite our valiant effort and really giving it our all, unfortunately we do end up losing this game, bringing us on to our third and final game of the session. Despite my previous attempts to calm down and really slow my gameplay down, now that I was back on Sky and all my utility usage was subconscious, it really felt like I was able to do that. Wins like these really show the progress that we're making. However, I'm definitely aware that wins like this can fuel me to keep wanting to play and chase that dopamine hit. So what I do is snack on some Gouda cheese and go for a stroll. I really just let all the new information, learnings process in my mind, and I just think of new ideas. Everything just flows as I walk. One of the main things that I was thinking about the most was really slowing down. I started to reflect on all the different areas in my life and tried to think about the speed at which I was doing them and whether I needed to slow down the pace of those as well. As we know, how you do anything is how you do everything. So upon arriving home, I get straight into the washing, and as we have done in past, I just make sure to do it in a really slow, controlled, accurate, fully present, and just in a high quality manner. In my opinion, one of the best ways to approach rushing Valorant habits and a lack of discipline in Valorant is to look at other areas of your life and see if you can find the same patterns there, because chances are they exist. How on earth can you expect to rush home from work, rush all your chores, rush your meal, and then sit down and play a chill zen game of Valorant? Not possible, not possible. But with my mind in such a clear state, it's a perfect time to start filling it with new knowledge. What I end up doing is looking at a few professional initiator players and just seeing their approach to the game and how they play overall. I take as many notes as I can before hopping into a custom game myself to really test my knowledge and see if I can apply these things myself. But as for the things I discovered, first of all, there's a very obvious emphasis on pathing and staying outside of kill zones, which I can't remember if I've discussed in the past. Here are just a few common positions where the enemy could be as I enter the site. You can see that they all have a very good view of one particular spot. This is your kill zone. If I was to walk through this kill zone, I can guarantee my own death. However, by optimizing our pathing to avoid these kill zones, we can easily minimize the chance of dying by bringing it down to maybe 2 people that can see us, or 1 person that can see us. Next, I've realized that if we're not the planner, we don't actually have to rush out on site like an absolute madman. We can sit back and util dump the site while our duelists push out and make use of that utility. This logic can be applied to baths, where I just simply should be flashing for the team, pushing up, and then dogging site. However, what I'm currently doing is aggressively pushing up as I flash and then skipping the dog and just trying to kill everyone. The players that I was watching, half the time they weren't even in the fight when they were flashing for their team. They were just aware that their team was fighting and then were throwing creative flashes like these in order to assist. I even saw them communicating with their team in a post-plan scenario like, don't peek, I've got dog for the first tap. And then instead of swinging, they would use their dog to get them off spike. This is something I have never even thought of before. The professionals were also flashing for intel a lot more than just selfish kills, as well as once again util dumping site, but then either planting the bomb or going back and holding flank. Which once again, holding flank when we don't have an initiator, I've never even thought of that. Before wrapping up my little study session, I spent some time practicing my crosshair placement, once again using sprays to just really gain mastery over where the head is and where to pre-aim so that I can headshot absolutely everyone. This is my second burger cheese for the day, and after completely devouring it, I indulge in some speed switching, precise tracking, and evasive target switching in order to refine our aim. Overall, I put about half an hour into aim training, so we'll see some growth from that, but not before we make use of our high protein diet and see some growth in our arms. As mentioned in previous weeks, all of our arm related exercises, such as our biceps, forearms, fingers, wrists, all of that is pushed after our aim training so that we're not fatigued and we're getting the most out of our practice. I explore some new forearm exercises as well as bring my shoulder press exercise to my dumbbell workout, with the reason being that when I do it on a barbell, I'm just not able to get to that 12 repetition threshold and really activate that hypertrophy when I do the exercise. The weight's just a little bit too heavy. So what I wanted to do was just switch to dumbbells so that I could go even lighter and work my way back up. Considering my day had a lot of gaming and forearm exercises, the most optimal wind down for the night is turning on the red light therapy device in order to make sure that the melatonin starts developing in the brain, as well as doing all of our finger, wrist and forearm stretches to avoid tendinitis. Or like death or something, you know? Oh yeah, I forgot to mention in the last couple months that I've been continuing with the sleep mask and earplugs, and they make my sleep a lot better. Upon my awakening the next day, I smash down an entire bottle of water and then make my way to a quick morning shift. Upon arriving home, I get stuck into my first meal of the day, which is a burger cheese. I feel deeply connected to the burger cheese now, and I really truly feel like it is a part of who I am as a man. Of course, all amazing moments come to an end, and I make my way back inside in order to start warming up for a session of Valorant. Also, with every warm-up session that we do, we can very clearly see the progression in our precise tracking. Not only that, but I actually end up with a new high score on pulse shot, which is a really good indicator of progressing aim. I also think another good indicator of progressing aim is when I can hop into a deathmatch and just kind of do this. For today's session, I also continue with the unrated game before comp, but despite it being an unrated for the sake of warming up, I still do try my hardest to play as well as possible, and you can see that here, I do what we learnt. I dump all my util, assist the team to get on site, and then just hold flank and kill the flanker. I was so happy, I ended up smiling. Before getting stuck into my Valorant games, I do the Barbara O'Neill meta where you put Celtic sea salt onto your tongue and then down some water afterwards. It's the fastest way to rehydrate yourself while simultaneously giving your brain all the minerals and electrolytes that it needs to function at maximum capacity. For the first time in my life, I go light armor, flash, and heal. Alright, I got heal if you need it. This game, I will be the best initiator of all time. The ultimate team player. Lotse. I'll flash for your raise. You can back up.
I'm falling off.
Flash up for your jet, hang on. Not only do I start thinking more about being a better teammate, but I also start playing smarter as well. Okay, Gecko A.
Yeah, two ahead.
He's getting orb. I'd be careful and back up. Yeah, Gecko's up. I'm just backing up, full backing up. Despite the perfect read on the Gecko ulting, I do end up making a mistake in not calling that I was going to flash and peek. My jet could have easily swung at the same time as me, securing at least 1 or 2 trades here. However, on the flip side, we're definitely starting to slow down and put a lot more intention behind every single peek. Now, unfortunately, this game starts off going 0-8 in the enemy's favor. However, as I start to unite with my teammates, a glimmer of hope seems to surface.
Nice.
Unfortunately for the enemies, they end their half on the infamous 9-3 curse. Our attack side starts off with an offensive dog pushing us onto site and concussing the enemy Omen. He retaliates with a flash, blinding us all. Teammates are dropping like flies. Killjoy is able to plant the spike and we start getting into our defensive positions. Killjoy is able to eliminate the Omen, and I end up eliminating the Sage. Whilst flashing A main for info, KJ gets jumped on by Gecko and unfortunately dies. Gecko flashes out of tree. I immediately seek cover before retaliating with a swing of my own, taking Gecko's life with my bare hands. So we're now into an anti-eco round where the enemy has better weaponry than us. We start off the round with 4 players applying pressure to the A bomb site through main, while having 1 player lurk through the middle of the map in order to try and make a play. Since all 4 of us A main didn't make a sound, the enemy Clove gets greedy, pushing and giving away A main control. Simultaneously, the player that went mid gets a kill. I throw out a flash, Jet dashes out. As we're flooding the site, I'm dogging to assist the team, somehow getting a kill on the Neon with the dog. All that's left after the bloodbath is just me and Brimstone. In an attempt to plant the bomb, Brimstone passes away right before my eyes. Fueled by vengeance, I swing my hand across my mousepad, headshotting the Gecko, leaving Sage and I in a 1 versus 1 scenario. But I can't just stay in this position, so I go to make a move. I flash out of A main, and I swing for my life, but no, I miss. How can I miss? But we continue fighting. The score is now 9-10 as we bring it closer and closer. This round starting off with 3 players towards main, 1 towards mid, and then 1 towards B. But unfortunately we get spotted, spoiling our plans of an A push. In order to maintain the element of surprise, we start making our way to the B bomb site, but then bump into the enemy flanker. We immediately put him down, but this means that the enemy team now knows that we're rotating to B site. But now that we know that the enemy knows that we're going to B site, we now go to A site. We have the element of surprise again. We start sneaking up onto the A site, ready for our next execute. But wait, it can't be! The enemy Neon was here all along, murdering our Jet in cold blood. Brimstone unable to trade his fallen comrade. It's now 3 versus 4 as we try to push onto site. That means that they knew that we knew that we should go back to A because we knew that they knew that we saw us going towards B site. And because of that, we lose the entire game. And with that, unfortunately, our chance to reach Diamond 3. I run the hands under hot water to rewarm them up, as well as start moving the body to get that blood flow going again because we're going back in for more. The next game was a 13-8 standard icebox victory. We definitely understand what we're doing on this map and have a lot of impact, so winning games on this map isn't a drama at all. Now we bring ourselves back once again to our rank up game, which was neck and neck through to the end, and with still many flaws to work on and a poor performance by myself, we let the opportunity to rank up slip away once again. But as we know, all great things stem from the burger cheese. And considering it's now 7 o'clock when I'd normally do my training session, since it's a rest day, I do my aim training session instead. I do the Voltaic fundamental routine, just to cover all bases, and then after a while hop on Val and start to experiment with some flashes. I wanted to figure out when I watch pro players flash and pop flash's sky, it seems so much snappier and quicker. I realized that it's because I've got flash bound to my mouse, and that means I'm taking my thumb off of the mouse, which I use to move it, when I'm trying to pop flash. It is so rare that you can click a button and see dramatic improvements, but this was one of those times. I was so excited to test out my new flashes, I ended up playing a Swift play with some friends, and in just these 5 rounds alone, I had more fun on Sky than I've ever had in my entire life. Like, honestly, it was insane. However, as we know, as important training is, so is recovery, so by 8 o'clock on the dot, I'm making sure that I'm smashing out my 1 hour wind down. In preparation for tomorrow's massive shift, I add in a bunch of full body stretches to try and really prepare myself and hopefully not take as big of a hit physically. And upon waking up, I smash an entire bottle of water as always and get myself to work. Work actually does have an air fryer, which I tried to put to use by making a burger cheese. It just really wasn't the same though, as it really drained out all the fat and just kind of tasted really gross. I still make sure to get through it all, but by the end of the shift, I was so exhausted that I felt like I couldn't do anything. This is my first 8-hour shift of the week, and unfortunately these ones really demotivate me. Since it's Wednesday, today I'm meant to be going to the gym, I'm meant to be grinding, I'm meant to be doing all these crazy things in order to try and progress myself as best as I can, but I don't even have the energy to get out of bed. In order to progress, grow, and learn, it's about the small things that I do every single day that add up. But if 3 or 4 days out of the week I'm suddenly too exhausted, everything seems to continuously crumble and reset every single week. Hence why I'm probably still just Diamond 3. I either need to make money in a more energy effective manner, or I need to increase the level of energy that I've got in a day so that I don't get limited by the work I do. This is something I hope to really brainstorm and think about over the weekend. On to the next day where I've got a full day off to rest and recover. Just kidding. 6 AM, I immediately step foot in the gym, ready to absolutely destroy. I've implemented a brand new system where I start from 0 weight, just the bar, and then every time I successfully hit 12 to 13 reps, I level up to the next weight. I warm myself up to the regular weight that I normally bench, but then end up hitting that 12 repetition threshold, so I immediately add on an extra 2.5 kilograms, while simultaneously realizing that I'm covering the camera with my bag. Now in order to get 12 repetitions, I felt like I was on the verge of absolute death by bar crushing. So I smash out 2 sets at this weight before moving on to the next exercise. After further research, I'm pretty sure this is an RDL. I'm very certain. I have no idea, but still, let me know in the comments. But anyways, we level up. And then we level up again. And then you're not gonna believe this, but we level up again. Alright, 15 kilos plus the bar. This has got to be our limit. Yeah, nah, we level up again. We hit green plates before we hit green rank in Valorant. I can't believe it. Alright, now we're adding in our first machine exercise into the split again. We're looking to isolate the middle chest area, and we're doing so through deep connection. We're really focusing on the connection here. I arrive home with some brand new bone marrow bones fresh from the butcher, and now we're on a quest to replace the butter with something better, something more nutritious, bone broth. While we do the initial bake of our bones for 20 minutes, we practice our flashes to make sure that every second is utilized as optimally as possible. However, something worth noting is that when I went to the butcher, they said that their saw was not working and they could not cut my bone into small pieces. So they gave me 2 ginormous bones. And because they didn't fit in the slow cooker, I spent about 20 minutes trying to either snap, cut, or break the leg in some sort of way, but man, these animals are strong. The only solution was just getting a bigger lid that goes over the bone and sits flush on the edge of the slow cooker. But now it's time to let that simmer over the next 24-48 hours and get stuck into our ramp warm-up, because we're playing our last games of Valorant. First things first, our unrated warm-up game, and then a burger cheese. But the thing is, while I was eating the burger cheese, a sudden thought came to me. Tomorrow, I've got the same shift as yesterday, and I don't want to eat that air fryer burger again. So my brand new solution, I present to you the dehydrator. What I do is get a bunch of Gorello cut beef, absolutely bash it flat with a rolling pin, add a bit of salt, cut them into thin strips, place them in the dehydrator, button mash a little bit, and then set and forget it for 5 hours. Now that we've got a stress-free mind, let's relax and play some comp. Regardless of the fact that I've got full utility here and I'm not initiating for my team to get on site, we still steamroll the first round, giving us some good momentum going into the game. I've decided that garage is my preferred spot on Haven, and I'm really going to start to master this position. As the enemies were countering me, I was finding ways to counter them back. Even if they weren't there, gathering enough info to know where they were was extremely powerful, and I started to be able to use that information to look for better timings and plays that I could make to impact the rounds.
Good timing.
In addition to that, all the work that we put into studying Valorant earlier in the week is starting to really shine.
First tap all dog.
However, I'm still getting used to the Wooting. Luckily, I've smashed the aim labs this week, otherwise this would have been an embarrassing loss. Another thing that I've been able to do is really slow down my pushes onto site into segmented pieces. For example, when I flash, I really think about where that flash is clearing, and then when I engage onto site, I'm using that information. For example, there is no one close left, so I don't have to clear close left. All these small things are starting to add up, helping us gain another victory. Once again on rank up game, so queue into a game and get Ascent. When I said that I was going to gain mastery, Miyamoto Musashi style, over A short on Ascent, I wasn't joking. This is what it looks like to master one single position. One thing I'm learning as I play this game is to be hyper aware of when the enemy is AWPing, and we need to start finding some counterplay to that.
Flashing out. Hang on.
Oops, Wooting. I definitely might have to tweak the Wooting settings on my keyboard because I keep pop flashing myself and it's kind of annoying. It might just be a matter of turning off the rapid trigger, but just keeping the low actuation point so I can throw them out fast. This game was neck and neck right till the end, but once again, we fall short. And unfortunately, it comes down to my own mechanics and fundamentals. In the round that lost us this game, it was just as simple as having my shoulder peak before I was actually peaking. Despite for the 3rd time this week missing out on our rank up, it's not a big deal, and we end up smashing our burger cheese and finish off the last of my exercises for the day with shoulder press and rear delts, and checking in on our beef jerky after 5 hours. I grab all the ones that are ready to go, however the thicker ones needed some more time, so I reorganized them and let them go for another 5 hours. These are like the equivalent of our RimWorld packaged survival meals. We can just take them wherever we want and they won't perish. But here we go, it's 6 AM, we've got a massive shift ahead of us, got all our beef jerky ready to go, and this shift I make sure to take a rhodiola of rosé in order to lower our perception of physical stress. But the combination of meat to snack on throughout my shift and the absolutely meta herbal supplement, I get to the end of the shift and decide to reward myself with an eye fillet steak. Before cooking, I get it to room temperature, I salt it, and then I cook it for 2 minutes and 15 seconds on each side to get that nice, rare cook. I also coat it in 5 slices of Gouda cheese because I was actually really hungry. The plan was to have my homemade bone broth with this, but while I was at work, a family member accidentally dropped the slow slow cooker, and yeah, I can only imagine how hectic that would have been, so that's alright. This steak was the best way I could have finished my week of grind. Probably the best piece of food I've eaten in my entire life. I have no idea. This is insane. I'm eating this more. Our physique is really starting to develop, especially with the new diet, but we're not really putting on weight. With a fast metabolism, high testosterone, and a lot of cardio at work, putting on fat really isn't an option, so the only way that I'll get bigger is by putting on muscle, and at the moment we're not doing enough muscle building hypertrophy training to actually do that. Considering on the days where I work the 8 to 9 hour shifts, I'm way too exhausted to even consider the gym. I'm going to keep it at 3 days per week, but move away from a full body workout so I don't need to have specific timings. If I do a push, a pull, and a legs day every single week, they can be back to back and it doesn't matter. Since implementing the full body workout, this is what my ideal week would look like, but in reality what happens is I go to my Monday session and smash it, then I need a rest day, Wednesday comes along, and then I smash out an 8-hour really physical shift where I'm exhausted and then end up not being able to do my full body workout the next day. So Thursday I do a workout, and then Friday I need another rest day, and then I only end up doing 2 workouts in the week instead of 3. The plan in my mind is get on top of the workouts so I can build more weight, build more muscle, get stronger, have more energy, and then be more resistant to the physical work that I do. That way I can still come home, still aim train to my full potential, still get a whole bunch of VOD reviews in, and still feel really good after work, and I'm not just limited to the days where I'm not working, which is where we're at right now. But regardless, I think it's been a pretty good week, so I'm going to leave it here and wish you all the best on your grind. I take on board everything you guys have to say, so if you guys have any ideas or want to contribute to the journey at all, just leave a comment and we'll have a bit of a chat about it. I'll see you all next week, and cheers for watching.